listening to Dungeons and Drama Nerds, a podcast exploring the intersection of theater and tabletop role-playing games.
As Tia enters Troka, Tia approaches you, Vector, and says, "So it's true, Troka is pulled by a demon."
Yeah, you got a problem with that?
Not at all. However, did you come across this? This is so fascinating to me.
I have a long history with Spot, and it's all quite complicated. According to some, Spot and I are siblings. According to some, Spot is my child. But the truth is, Spot was lonely and starving and wandering through the tunnels. I got kicked out, and two lonely wanderers found each other.
How fascinating that we do not know each other and you share the truth with me right away.
Yeah, well, you're a hocus, so you're gonna be able to tell.
I am not a hocus.
Oh, I just assumed by the cloak.
Oh yes, certainly. I do love the assumptions. I am a healer by trade. You may call me an angel.
Well, then.
But I do barter. So in service for the truth you have given me, would you like me to heal your demon?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let us call that a fair exchange. And so the scales will be balanced.
Yeah, scales, balance, all that stuff.
And as they go to, before Troka gets moving, they step out and, apply a little bit of their medical craft to Spot. And Spot seems to perk up a little bit, seems to be feeling better, if a little stoned. But is now happily trudging forward as Tia gets back on Troka and smiles at you and says, I believe I've just worked out an arrangement with Vance Holliday to treat people at temptation. But perhaps while I'm here, can we work out an arrangement during the travel?
I think we could probably work something out. I've been actually looking to hire an angel for on board.
It is always good to have a medic. After I look into what is going on at Temptation, perhaps we can work out a deal.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Excellent. And they will flaunt off. Sort of very businesslike walk, but there's a little swagger to it as they head on back to the residential car. Seren, meanwhile, is sort of not running around, but is sort of looking around Troka, just being like, oh, wow. This is so much more exciting than I expected. Darling, you live such a glamorous life. Do I smell rotting meat?
Yes.
Charming. And she comes back up to you and is sort of holding on to your collar a little bit and goes, but I'm looking for the most exciting place of all. Where's your bunk?
This way.
It's so amusing. If we're trying to show off sex moves, yours is probably the worst because it just means nothing happens.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So Sydney, you now have info about Phytotech and a competitor. Vance, you have someone to look into the illness at back at Temptation and the bar farts, the bar fight. And Hector, you have worked out a deal with the healer. Is sort of despite poisoning several randos, I would say a successful outing so far. Or perhaps in spite of poisoning several randos, a successful outing. And it is several hours later that you, moving at the slow pace, picking through the dangerous terrain, that you arrive in Hightown Market. And as you pop up above ground from the metro station where you dock Troka, the four of you, as Tia and Seren don't seem too interested in going into Hightown Market for whatever reasons, the four of you find yourselves above ground and surrounded by a bustling open-air market. During the Cataclysm, Eastern Market was mostly leveled, and so none of the buildings are there anymore, it seems. But out of the rubble, there seems to be a burgeoning, almost like an endless bazaar in every direction you look. There's so many things for sale and so much commerce happening. And the sensory, it's overwhelming. There's so many smells and so much haggling and yelling and screaming. It's chaotic and wild and kind of fun in its own way. What would you like to do?
Can I activate Everybody Eats, Even That Guy?
You sure can.
When you want to know something about someone, your call, or someone important, your call roll plus hot, blah, 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 I want to try to track down Jacqueline Phan.
Sure thing.
I also want to help, I also want to do that.
Great. So let's roll with vectors first. Vance, do you have a move for that? I think you can order your gang even.
I could, or even can I just roll to help Vector?
Sure. Go ahead and roll with EX.
I got a 12.
I got an 11.
Great. So you're adding +2. So Vector, go ahead and take a 14. So what is the outcome of this?
I get to ask 3 questions.
Great. Let's ask away.
Let's start with when next should I expect to see them?
When next should you expect to see them? Expect, I think, being the key word here. You don't expect to see them anytime soon. This is a bustling place, and they don't seem to be very present.
Cool. How could I get to them physically or emotionally?
Physically, I think you have to make an appointment.
Cool.
You need to find someone who works for Jacqueline and make an appointment.
Who do they know, like, and or trust? Actually, no. Who or what do they love best?
Who or what do they love best? Keys. Jingle and keys.
Great. Is it common knowledge about where we can make that appointment?
There is a building called the Wolftail Covert. You know from lore that it seems to be sort of an underground structure, but you have no idea where the entrance is. Vance, you do, having lived here. And so if you go a little ways over to where the bridge used to be, you can actually travel down almost towards the river. And there is sort of a leveled old military building almost, and that appears to be where the covert is located. But it is a trek through the bazaar, but that's where Jacqueline Phan and her executives reside.
Yeah, I think the story of the dice of me helping Vector with this is I kind of know what's going on, and I lead the way to just straight there because I'm kind of I don't need an appointment.
Great. Vector, you are so distracted by how many pretty people there are as you walk towards the covert. There are people selling all sorts of stuff that just looks so pretty.
I think I turn to Vance and I'm like, so I'm just getting a little distracted. Can you just keep me on course? Because I think I'm going to get distracted and I'm going to wander off. And it would be beneficial if I didn't do that right now because we have a mission and we have a goal. And I'm not going to poison a bunch of people again by acting impulsively.
While Zira is talking, I'm just going to grab Zira's hand and lace my fingers, our fingers together and just keep walking with a lot of purpose.
I think Sydney will take Vector's other hand and be like, I know the feeling of getting distracted, so...
Vance just tows their children through the market.
I look down at Sydney's hand and I'm really surprised. Not upset, but we haven't ever talked. Why are you holding my hand right now? What is this?
AZ trusts you and I trust AZ, so I trust you too, even though you bring craziness into my life all the time.
Well, sometimes I think your life could probably use a little shaking up.
So y'all head on over to the Wolftail Covert, and the first thing you notice is just a pair of heavily armored guards. But can I get a sharp roll from everyone real quick? Just because it's more fun to see if people fail.
6.
That is a mark experience. So Vance, you're ooh, they are just not happy to be back at the covert right now. They're not their favorite place.
Well, I improve.
12 from Sydney.
Weirdly out of character.
That's a 5.
Vector mark experience. I think even with both your hands held, you're still rubbernecking like crazy because there's so many people and they're all so pretty. On top of it, because Hightown Market being the place where you can get all the best clothes, everyone just looks fabulous. AZ honey, what'd you get?
6.
6 mark experience. So the only one perceptive in this moment is Sydney. And Sydney, I think one of the reason, let's say story-wise, the reason you notice this is because it recently stabbed you. There is on both of the guards' belts that very same knife. You recognize that handle design immediately because the last time you looked down, it was sticking out of you.
True. I'll go ahead and point this out to the rest of the gang that the guards seem to have the same daggers that were used by Snow.
Do we still have the Snow's dagger with us?
Yeah, I have it. As we approach, do they like try and block our way, or can we get through without?
They wait like very dramatically to like the very last second, and then like ka-chomp, like cross these weird rifles in front of you.
Excuse me, I have an appointment.
Like name?
You don't know who I am?
You wouldn't have asked otherwise.
I'm Vance Holliday.
Sorry, did you say something?
I'm Vance Holliday.
The accountant?
Yes.
You have an appointment?
Yeah.
And so they look over and they go, Vance Holliday, the accountant, and someone from like a little guard booth is like, not on the schedule.
Well, are you going to let me in or not?
You're not on the schedule.
I said I had an appointment.
Not on according to our documents. Who'd you file it with?
With myself.
Oh, that's probably why it didn't get to us. Miss Phan's appointments are all full up for the day. You're going to want to try again tomorrow, but you might want to submit in advance.
Perhaps if we explain that they stabbed us with one of their knives.
What now? I don't recall stabbing you.
I have a rather pressing matter to discuss with Miss Phan that has become life or death.
So as you say that, go ahead and roll to persuade, to manipulate.
Oh boy. Okay. What is that plus?
It is going to be, where did it go? That's hard. There's so many moves in this game. It is going to be roll plus hot.
Hell yeah. That's gonna be a 10.
A 10. Oh, nailed it. Yeah, so they will go along with you as you say, oh, it's a matter of life or death. Okay, well, one of us is going to escort you, so no funny business. And so they remain there as the one behind the guard desk sort of comes out with his automatic rifle, which is very rare for the wasteland, for the fadeaway, and will stand behind you and walk you. It's like, you know, to make an appointment with yourself, I guess you know where you're going. And so, yeah, you march on all the way down into the covert, down the winding stairs and sort of like the weird office buildings until you find yourself at the very proud of her heritage. Jacqueline Phan has like sort of a Chinese dragon sort of door with like all the gold decorations and a pair of like the lion dog statues in front. Like it's very gaudy, but like an homage to her culture that was long lost. And you get to the door and the guard goes, I'm going to stand slightly to the right when you open the door, and sort of goes to stand there, but keeps an eye on you.
Okay. I open the door.
You open the door and Jacqueline looks up. She's got her rather severe features, and she leans forward and goes, well, as I live and breathe, Vance Holliday, what are you doing back in my hold? I
have some questions for you.
Please come sit. And looks over at the person that she's having a meeting with, was like, I'll see you first thing tomorrow, and ushers them out. And they're like, and then just leave. They seem to know about it. But Jacqueline has a single chair pulled up for Vance.
Perfect. Is everybody else also here?
I think so. I'm sure
okay, cool.
Your entourage.
I'm going to sit on the corner of her desk.
Is there a window?
No, you're deep underground.
I'm going to, as Vector does that, just kind of brush Zier away and behind me.
If anyone else had done it, I would have fought back. But as they do that, I'm like, okay.
And Jacqueline goes, well, let's see. Vance, Vector, the legendary Troca. The other two of you, I'm afraid I don't know by rote or reputation. Please, Vance, tell me more of your colorful entourage.
This is the esteemed bodyguard and bouncer of Troca, AZ Honey.
Ah, yes.
And this is Sydney Thorpe. A phytotech engineer and pioneer in the field, really.
A phytotech engineer, you say?
Yeah. Yes, he's a proud resident of my hold. And Vector and AZ come through quite frequently.
Interesting. Well, what brings you back to Hightown Market?
Well, I heard that you were looking for information about me and Vector here, so I thought perhaps we would come right to you.
Well, that saves me a lot of trouble and key, I suppose. I should thank you.
See, it's been quite interesting because along with your spies, there's been quite an influx of danger in my hold.
That is unfortunate. I will assure you that it is not my intent to cause any turmoil there.
I do perhaps wonder if you have any information about why that's the case, however. I'll answer some of your questions if you answer some of mine.
The old Hightown Market game, 1 for 1,
1 for 1?
Right. Well, temptation is stirring up a lot of a buzz these days, especially being with the other holds being so functional and so devoted to a singular cause. To have such a diverse mixing pot of ideals, and ideologues. People are curious. I'm curious. I knew you here, your work merely as an accountant, so to find out suddenly that one of my own is a charismatic leader of their own hold, well, of course I'm interested.
Thank you.
Please think nothing of it. This is simply how we have always done things. Welcome to leadership. Welcome to the council, as it were.
Sure. Oh.
As your hold establishes dominance in the area and control and fame and notoriety, you will find that you will be interacting with us very frequently. But that also means some friendly advice. Get some spies of your own and send them to us. It's part of the game, after all. It's part of the barter. It's part of the leverage. And if you want to be on the same playing field, find yourself a spy master.
I have it taken care of, don't worry.
Then you're well ahead. More well ahead than I thought.
Sydney's going to be like silently chuffed.
As for my question then, so that answers your first question, I believe. Why the interest in temptation?
Yes.
Yes, it is merely political curiosity, nothing nefarious, I assure you.
Sure.
That you're here means that you found out. So perhaps Miss Lily's fee was a bit higher than I anticipated. But oh well. She was often worth all the key.
She did an excellent job, but did give herself away quite easily.
That is often part of her game, though. You'd be surprised how easily it disarms people. And then she changes her face and is never seen again.
Well, I'll know to keep an eye out for Isabel then.
You even got her name. Oh, Vance, you're going to be very good at the game. I'm so excited to work with you.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
So my question then, why did you do it? Why did you split off from Hightown to start your own? What motivated you?
I have a vision for the future. I'm looking beyond the simple petty trade, the worries of right now, the worries of today, and I'm looking beyond into building something sustainable, something that lasts.
Well, the current system has lasted us something about 50 years now, since the Cataclysm.
But is it building to anything?
You make an excellent point. So then your next question, the rise of chaos in your hold. I'm afraid to tell you all that it is happening all across the board. Everyone is discovering more and more dissidents, more and more, not uprisings, but just violence, just chaos, just people. And no one knows quite what it is. That was partially what Snow and Lily were looking for.
So you hired Snow as well?
As an information gatherer, yes. And she provided some very fascinating intel, based off of a bounty that she also took, I believe, when she sent word to me this morning.
Yes, that bounty was quite troubling, and that is another one of my questions, in fact. But we can get to that later.
Of course. I suppose my question is, once you learn of the origin of the chaos, what do you intend to do?
I'm sorry, the origin of the what?
This chaos, this unrest. What do you intend to do about it?
I intend to root it out.
Well, then I can say, thankfully, you will have my support in that.
Thank you. So I've heard from Snow that there have been a number of bounties posted targeting deserters from the Junkway. Do you know anything about that?
Someone does not want information to get out from the Junkway. There is some intelligence going around. If your bounty target is alive, I would suggest asking them if he or she or they might know anything that might be worth killing them for.
I'm going to turn around and make direct eye contact with AZ Honey, and I'm just going to wait.
I give a what shrug.
I'll just raise my eyebrows and turn back around. I believe that concludes our business, Jacqueline. Thank you.
I will send you my questions by post.
Excellent.
And this is the life or death matter you brought to my attention.
Well, Sydney here was almost murdered by your information gatherer, so...
Really? Well, that was not my contract, so I claim no responsibility for that.
I understand. I understand it's part of the game, however. I don't look kindly on sending chaos into my hold.
For that, I apologize. But now that we have established a more friendly correspondence, I look forward to working with you.
Me as well.
Please let me know once you've rooted out the source of the chaos, and I will work within my capabilities to support you.
Certainly.
Let that be Temptation's first and most interesting quest.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And I'll get up and I'll go.
Thank you, Vance. Farewell, entourage. It was lovely to meet you all.
I want to sit in the seat that Vance was just in. And I look at her and I'm like, now, I know why you asked Vance, or why you were looking into Vance and into Temptation. I don't understand why you were looking into our relationship.
Well, what is there to understand? If I'm gathering information about Vance, why would I not be interested in Vance partners? Business or otherwise?
Just business.
Just business. Troka has been rumored to make many stops at Temptation, so I'm wondering, what is it about Temptation? Or perhaps what is it about our dear Vance that draws Troka's attention? The legendary Troka. Also, you run an establishment steeped in mystery. Why would I not be curious?
You're right. Curiosity is a good thing. And then I get up and I leave.
Great. Anyone else want to do anything with Jacqueline?
You know, I actually really like her. I can't explain why, but she seems really nice.
Do you say that out loud?
Oh yeah, Sydney's always about saying things out loud.
And I think if anyone happens to be looking back, Jacqueline has just the tiniest hint of a smile on her face.
Oh.
But yeah, so you head on back out of the covert and back into the market.
As soon as they get out of sight of the guards, Vance has a full release of tension and is like, oh man.
I give Vance a hit on the arm and say, what the fuck? I literally have a bounty on my head and you're outing me as a deserter in front of the head of Hightown.
She knows who you are already.
Doesn't help to double down.
I introduced you by name.
Yeah, you did. And then you made it clear that I had information that those bounty hunters were looking for, which I didn't offer up for good reasons. Don't do that again.
Sorry.
Thank you. I want to find, would there be bounty boards posted anywhere that we could trace the origins of?
Sure thing, go for it.
Yeah, I want to find those.
You come across one of the bounty boards at let's say there's a bounty hunters sort of hangout, right? Like a bar. We'll call it the Billowing Cucumber. So you come across the Billowing Cucumber, and there is you head on in. It's a rough, tough, sort of mercenary bar, almost very reminiscent of Demon Town for anyone who might have been there before. And they all size you up right away, and you see that the people in the room, they sort of look over Sydney and go, look over Vance and go, look over Vector, and they're like, but then they look at AZ and they're like, uh-oh. And there's a little bit of uh-oh when AZ walks into the room.
Mm-hmm.
And you find that there's a bounty board sort of posted up right by the door, and you see several names on there. You see Borug, you see your own name, AZ Honey.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and just a whole list of people from the Junkway that you suspect, all in the same sort of handwriting.
Is there like a clear leader of the establishment that I can see?
Sure. There is, the person tending the bar right now. Purple-haired man, dark skin, purple hair. Looks not as dangerous as anyone else in the room, but seems to be well respected by everyone there.
I go up and I order a whiskey.
Yep. Pours you a glass of Rathian's Bite and asks for 1 barter.
Yep. Do I need to like... So, okay, wait, here's a question about the bartering system. Do I need to like clearly say, this is my item barter, or do I just take 1 down?
I think just take 1 down in this case. You can barter something over for a drink.
Great.
Something roughly equivalent to a drink. I love bartering, so just you can be like, here's my shoe.
Great. Yeah, I pay for the drink. I ask, do you know anything about the with an egg? I asked, do you know anything about the Junkway bounties?
And he looks up and goes, no, came in, posted when I came in, like, I opened up shop and one day they were just there. I didn't see anyone who posted them. I haven't seen anyone checking them out other than mercenaries and some of the cloaks, as it were.
About how long ago?
I want to say 3 weeks ago went up.
Mm-hmm.
People keep adding to the list too. Something about Junkway soldiers, and yeah, I don't refuse bounties if someone will pay for it.
No, don't blame you. You said the cloaks?
Yeah, they wear pretty nondescript cloaks, so we just call them the cloaks.
Any other information on them?
Not really. Just they come in and out. People who don the cloaks tend to be information brokers, assassins, sort of underworld workers, as it were. A lot of them stop by here from time to time for pickup.
Mm-hmm.
If I look around me, do I see anyone who looks like they might know more?
Go ahead and roll plus sharp.
I got a... What is that? 13.
13? As you're looking around the room, I mean, you see a good number of toughs there. And there might be 1 or 2 people who might seem to know a little bit more, but they seem... You get the hint that they might not be too keen on talking to anyone.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think about how much of a fucker I want to be. I down my whiskey and I stand up on one of the bar stools and I say, hey, if anybody knows anything about the Junkway bounties, see Troco before it leaves tonight. I'll pay.
All right. Yeah, a cursory glance at the room. You've been heard, but no one is immediately moving to say anything.
Great. I head out then.
Before we leave, can I look at the list and see if I recognize the handwriting? I'm specifically looking to see if this is General Yang's handwriting.
Gotcha. It's not General Yang's handwriting.
Cool.
But good instinct.
I'm gonna leave. He often writes love letters to the sex worker that he comes to see, so I know his handwriting well. But I left. It's not there, so it's not him.
Great. So you roll on off. Back to Troca. Does anyone have anything they'd like to do before Troca leaves that night? No? Great. There's going to be a knock at the door then, sort of to the Troca entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a very small person, like very short, maybe like 5 foot nothing almost. Mm-hmm. And he looks up and goes, I'm looking for AZ Honey.
Yeah, I step out of Troca.
Mm-hmm. And he looks up at you and is like, "What's the rate for information here?"
That is a great question.
I mean, I'm not really going out of my way, so if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I'm not asking for much.
Yeah.
We have
How
a
big
sweet chainsaw if you want to give a chainsaw over.
Oh yeah. You want a chainsaw?
Yes. Give me chainsaw. He says with a not at all crazed expression on his face.
Oh no, what have we done?
And he's like, well, rumor has it that raiders outside town, outside the fadeaway, they're looking to get a hold in here. They've been sending people in. That's what I keep hearing all over. And I'm investigating this as well. And all rumors seem to be pointing to the fact that the raiders are staging an uprising in all the major holes. And the people who seem to have that intelligence now, you and me, are the ones who seem to be being targeted the most. So, and that seems to be people from the Junkway. People from the Junkway seem to know this, perhaps, somehow. Don't know how yet, but they're the ones being targeted. So I suspect that someone from outside the fadeaway is having these bounties put up. It's not that hard to buy someone off in the fadeaway.
So, someone's looking to organize raiders? Sydney's just like behind AZ Honey, like net shooter pointed at the guy, and it's just like, so, all right.
Chainsaw beats net shooter, buddy.
I didn't even know that raiders were allowed to place bounties. They must be working through someone.
They have to be. That's my theory. But I want this resolved just as much as you do. Because I know some good people who are on that list, and I want this taken care of.
What's your name?
Calkin.
Calcum. Thank you. Enjoy your chainsaw.
Thank you. He goes sort of happily skipping off with his new chainsaw.
Great. I head back inside and tell Vector and Vance what I know.
I'm looking at the group of everyone and I'm like, well, looks like we're going to have one more stop to make before we get to American University. Let's head out of the fadeaway.
You all have two more destinations, it sounds like. American University for the phytotech and the raider holdouts outside. I don't know if you want to go storming into the enemy bases and through a demon-infested wasteland, but I defer to the group. I'm just here to make your roles come true.
I mean, one seems more urgent than the other one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, you guys all know that I'm kind of in the phytotech plan here, but also, and stopping a raider uprising seems like it's something that should be good for like the world. But with the plant technology, we can go ahead and spy on them from the safety of our home and figure out what they're doing instead of, I don't know if we have the manpower to take on whatever force this is.
That's very true. That seems like a rash decision to go and handle it
I
now.
think if we're heading into raider territory, we need to be a bit more incognito.
Vector looks shocked that you would even imply that Z is not incognito.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the big-ass train.
Gotta Mad Max that shit.
All right, then. Next stop, American University.
So let's wrap it up here with session end. At the end of every session, choose a character who knows you better than they used to. If there's more than one, choose one at your whim. Tell that player to add +1 to their HX with you on the sheet. Just bring them the HX +4, reset to HX +1, and therefore mark experience. So let's start with Sydney. Is there someone who knows you better now?
I think it's actually surprisingly Vector this time. I think we shared like such a bonding, like the most powerful bonding moment for Sydney probably was when he did something outside of his comfort zone to help someone he didn't know very well. So I think that might be like
Sydney also like voluntarily touched you.
Yeah, that was like
It was huge.
a lot.
Like I clocked that. It was like, oh my god, Sydney is actively touching your hand with Sydney's hand. Oh no, he doesn't touching anybody. So go ahead and tell that player to add +1 to their hicks with you on the sheet. So Vector, add +1 with Sydney.
Woo, we're at +2 now.
Yay! All right. Percy, Vance. Who do you feel knows Vance better than they did before?
I think AZ Honey has learned a lot about what Vance cares about and is willing to risk.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that baller exile scene where Vance was just like old AF and they were just like, you need to leave my home. I was like, oh, Vance. That was so fucking cinematic. Like, I needed to underscore that. But yeah,
I was reflecting on, like, I chose a character that has nothing except for just talking. And I'm here like, So I'm glad it's working.
Yeah, it was noise.
Oof.
All right, so AZ, add 1. All right, let's see. And now Ella, who knows AZ better than they did before?
Oh, this is really tough. I feel like it might be Vance because I feel like Sydney and Vector already knew me a good deal, and this time there was a lot of bonding, a lot of AZ Vance.
It's wild how much you learn about each other when you actually spend time together.
I
know. It's been so hard to get all 4 of the characters into the same place because everyone has such disparate goals. I'm like, how are we going to weave them together? But I think we did. Mm-hmm. Yay, Troca Trip. So let's see. So yeah, Vance add +1 to AZ. And now Vector. Who knows Zier better than they did before?
I think it's going to be Sydney.
Yay! What's happening?
I think considering Sydney didn't know Vector at all before this, anything is an improvement.
Great. Y'all, so this is super exciting. So did anyone hit +4 with anyone this go around?
Oh, you did? I did with Vance.
Yay! So go ahead and reset it to +1 and mark experience.
I actually went to +5 with Vector because I'm not sure if I reset for the 1 marked experience earlier, so I can go take a look back and see if I did. But otherwise, then it would be a +1 there.
Great. So go ahead and reset to +1. You said you were at +5, so I think that resets to +2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure someone will be like, hey, JonJon, you did it all wrong, and I don't care. Like
bold words.
Right. I'm like, there are rules. But there are rules I like. And like, as long as we're telling a cool story, I'm much more happy to adhere to this. I'm still trying to figure out this particular system because I love Dungeon World and like it's a little more streamlined. This has so many different moves and like I was like, oh man, there's so much here. And the Hicks one really just confuses the hell out of me. So like, it's okay. If we'll reset you to +2, and if someone has a dramaturgical issue with it, they can bring it up with me. But I'm like, did we tell a cool story? Cool. Bye. All right, and that is the end of session. Credits roll.
Dungeons and Drama Nerds is produced by Todd Brian Backus, Percy Hornak, and Nick Orvis, and is mixed and edited by Anthony Sertel Dean. Irremediably Home, our Apocalypse World campaign, features JonJon Johnson as the writer and master of ceremonies, Percy Hornak as Vance Holliday, TP Huth as Vector, Elamock as AZ Honey, and Dex Phan as Sydney Thorpe. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at DN Drama Nerds and on Facebook at Dungeons and Drama Nerds. For cast bios, head to our website, dungeonsanddramanerds.com. Tune in next week for a new commentary episode.